TV. I'm here with, fortunately, I can say my friend, but also a great rock and roller, Kevin. And full formal name is Kevin Patrick Corrigan. Thank you for coming, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
You don't want to know about me.
Absolutely, we
You want
do.
to know my jail record?
Well, that would be pretty cool to know about.
Record. No, yeah, I don't want one either. But
what's so bad about a jail record?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was actually in jail when I was 16 years old. I was at a rock and roll show, and you know, back in Jersey, back in the day, when in the 80s, it was like you had a neighborhood band. There would be 5 bands in one block, in like a 5-block area.
Yeah,
and you hated the other band. Hated their guts, right? So you do a show and you'd be like, ooh, that guy, and it's so stupid, by the way. Now that I'm a grown man, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. So they're up there rocking and stuff, and you'd be like, these guys suck. And then one time there was this band, my band was playing, and one of the other band's drummer was loaded, and he was 16 on fucking Blackberry Brandy or something, jumped up on the stage, and he's sitting there trying to steal the shine, and I had to punch him in the face. Yeah. And I just went, boom, punched him in the face. A giant melee broke out, and the cops were there because we were at the Old Bridge Civic Center. So we were actually in the police station. They held this concert for peace, and who was the first guy to throw a punch? Unfortunately, it was me.
Oh,
but this guy came in, and we went, and then I was in jail. They had me in there, and my mother had to come and get me, and she's like, you know, Irish woman, Kevin, what are you doing? I said, man, the guy jumped on stage. It's not his stage time. He had his stage time. He jumped on our stage time. So I punched him in the face. And my mother was like, just don't punch anybody in the face anymore. I go, man, you're the ones that taught me to punch people in the face.
Yeah.
I had an Irish mother, man.
Yeah.
She taught you to fight. She said, you don't take any crap from nobody.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I'm an Irish guy. My mother's from Ireland. I'm an American guy. I'm from Jersey. I've been living in Queens for like 15 years. I was living in Manhattan for 20 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a rock and roller.
Yeah, I know you are. I got to see you play a concert about 3 months ago in Astoria, and it was great, the songs you played. You rocked the house. I'd like also to talk about a book that Patrick has written. It's called Dirty Days, True New York City Bar and Rock Stories. And if that is my cup of tea, personally. Here, I'm going to hopefully, I don't know if the camera can see it. Now, where can people get this book? Because I know my friends are totally into the New York bar scene and music.
Google it online. It's on Barnes & Noble's online. It's on the Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on all the major stuff.
Good for you for doing it, because everybody's talking about, I wish I did something and was productive during the pandemic, and you actually wrote a book, and it's finished.
The only good thing about it is that I've been writing my whole life. Mm-hmm. Like, I've had these stories. Like, I didn't sit there and rewrite or write a story. Like, I just went and took my stories and organized them. Mm-hmm. There's stories I wrote in there when I was like 15 years old. You know, there's stories I wrote in there when I was like 8. The first story that starts off the book, I was 8 years old in Times Square, seeing like in the 70s, dude. If anybody knows what it was like in the 70s in Times Square, New York City. Freaking out of control. But you didn't know it because that's just the way it was. Hookers everywhere. Yeah. People getting mugged out in open. Nobody gave a shit about anything. Protests, riots, everything. So one day, I was 8 years old. This is how I remember Times Square. We were driving from Jackson Heights, Queens, where my aunt lived. All the Irish went to Jackson Heights. So we were in Jersey
Why were
City.
Were they living there or going there?
I don't know what happened.
For the Indian food?
I don't know.
There's great Indian food.
This is like, they all came in the 40s, man.
Yeah.
Jackson Heights was Irish.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Irish in the 40s. Mm-hmm. And so that my old aunt was there. And it's funny because, you want to go, well, I'm not talking politics. People are like, yo, illegal aliens or whatever. they're all dead now. Because they're being 120 years old. My whole family was illegal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You mean they came over on boats without visas?
Yeah. But whatever. They're all illegal.
Yeah.
So nobody looks at that. Whatever. But who cares? I'm getting off the subject.
No, there's no.
We don't want to get into politics.
Yes, politics is another word for people. You can go there.
People, whatever. Who cares? But by the way, it was Jackson Heights. The Irish were in Jackson Heights. So we would go in the 70s. We would go to Jackson Heights because that's where my older aunts were. They were in their 70s. And we're coming back. We'd cut through Manhattan, and we'd cut through Times Square because we got to go to Jersey. We'd go out the Lincoln Tunnel, and I'm sitting there, and on the back of the station wagon, and there's this woman lifting her shirt up, going like this, and I'm like, I'm 8 years old. And I just go to meanwhile, I got 4 sisters, a brother, and my mother, and my mother was a tough son of a bitch. So I go, look at that lady, she's showing her boobies. My mother looks around, she's like with periscope eyes, and she sees it was a hooker, and she's flashing tits to a John.
You
right?
wanted to get out of the car.
I was like, no, that was the first time I ever really saw a pair of tits, by the way.
And were they nice?
Yeah, I never forgot them. No, they weren't nice. That's probably why I never forgot them. Like, I don't know which way I'm gonna go. So anyway, she's doing that, and and then my mother looks around, and my mother really caught on. We were in a hooker heaven. They were running around with thongs and stuff. This is out on the street.
Yeah.
Right. And it was in the summertime. It was in August because we were listening to the Met game. And my mother says to me, everybody put their heads to the floor. Put your heads to the floor. I'm in the back of a station wagon now. Me and my sisters, they don't even know what I'm looking around. We're all like, I was 8 years old. I had to put my head down like that, but I was sneaking.
Yeah.
I was sneaking a peek. I'm walking around like this. I'm like, trying to get out of it. My mother saw me. She goes, Kevin, lie down. I had to lie on my face. On the freaking back of a station wagon, lying there. My mother was yelling. And then I'm looking, my sister had to lie down there too, and my sister Mary. And I said, hey, I got to get a peek, Mary. She goes, no, Ma's going to kill you. Ma will kill you. Don't do it. Man, I got to get a peek. There's something magical going on outside. I need to see what's going on. Right?
Yeah.
So Mary's like, no, do it. And then I realized my mother couldn't, because the back of the seat was right here. I was right here lying on my face. My mother couldn't see me if I turned around. She's over here, right? So I turned around quickly, and I stick my head up, and there was a woman putting her hand in a car, rubbing a guy, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is going on around? I'm 8 years old. Like, I gotta come back here. This is the best place in the world.
Free love.
Yeah, I gotta find a wife here, you know? So, anyway, my sister's like, Kev, Ma's gonna see you. And I'm just like, holy, and I was so afraid of my mother. I said, oh man, I better turn around. If she sees me seeing that, she's gonna beat the living crap out of me. So I turned around and I went back down, and then I just said to myself, I fucking love New York City. I love New York City.
Yeah.
And once I was 18, I came running back in. You know, I wasn't that far away. I was only like 10 miles away, but you know,
I love your mother, though. I wish she was working here. We need somebody stern running this place. That get down on the floor, I'm not going to forget that. It's like a robbery.
You don't want my mother. No. My mother, I love my mother, but man, she was a tough Irish woman. Tough.
Yeah, wow. Well, tell us about the rock and roll. So we can see you coming up in a few weeks, and the name of the band is going to be?
The name of the band is BEGORRAH.
And how do you get that name? Curious.
Well, when me and Shane is my buddy, the guitar player, we got 3 guys in the band, but Jeff is our drummer. He wasn't in the band yet at the time. Me and Shane, we started a band. We're playing in my kitchen. We wrote an album in one fucking day, by the way. And so what do you want to call ourselves? I said, let's call ourselves BEGORRAH. That was the drunk cop on Bugs Bunny. Right, BEGORRAH, BEGORRAH, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And we would always say that, BEGORRAH. And,
wait a minute, I don't know about that. I thought I knew all about Bugs Bunny. What was Bugs Bunny doing?
The cop. Come on, go back.
Okay.
Go back go on YouTube and Google it.
I will.
Go the cop, the big Officer McKay, whoever the freak his name is. I don't know, whatever his jerk off name.
Sounds like Big Fog Leghorn.
Yeah, no, it was he was a side character.
Okay.
He was never like a main focus.
Right.
He only came in for like 4 seconds.
Swinging that billy club?
Swinging the billy club.
The Irish cop with Bugs
and
Bunny.
And Bugs Bunny was doing something wrong. And, trying to pretend he wasn't doing it. Because he'd see the cop and he'd be like, Bugs Bunny, what's going on here? BEGORRAH, what's going on?
Wow.
So I said, we'll call ourselves BEGORRAH. And I have no idea what BEGORRAH means, by the way. So we would call ourselves BEGORRAH. We'd start doing shows and a story and stuff. Then we wrote our album, and we have our album. Now we're about to go print it. We're about to print the album. And I'm like, dude, Shane, what does BEGORRAH mean? I don't know. I thought you knew what it means. I have no idea what it means. It could mean we're a bunch of assholes. I have no idea what it means. Right. So, all right. We got on the Google and on our phones, and we Googled it, right? And it says, to walk amongst with God, to walk with God, meaning to walk tough with God.
Wow.
It's BEGORRAH, be God. And we're not a religious band at all. But you know what? I'd rather walk with God than the devil. You know what I'm saying? So I said, "Fuck, let's go with it. Print it. We're BEGORRAH now."
I love it. I love it. Named after the cop and Bugs Bunny. All right. Well, we got to get back and let's talk about Irish music next time. Last time, because there are so many great Irish musicians and styles of music from Ireland.
Shane MacGowan is a legendary Irish singer. Who actually grew up in London, believe it or not, but he left the Pogues, and he came to Astoria, and he started grabbing local guys to play in his band. And that was Gerald, who you met.
Gerald.
Yeah. So Gerald wasn't in the Pogues.
Donnelly.
Gerald Donnelly, fucking good friend of mine, great musician. He used to go on the road with Shane. So they went on the road in America or whatever, but it wasn't with the Pogues. Shane MacGowan. It's great. The band was called the Pogues, and then they were mad at him because he was drinking a little too much or whatever. And he said, "Oh, screw you guys! I'm going to start a new band, and we're going to be called the Popes." So he went from the Pogues to the Popes. Yeah, and the Popes would play Astoria. This was probably about 20 years ago, maybe a little more. Yes. Though now we're 2022, yeah. So
Shane MacGowan is in the Pogues, but you also have a guitar player, Shane, in BEGORRAH.
Yeah, I have a guitar player.
Keeping it straight.
Shane O'Connor, and who grew up in Astoria.
Yeah, he's great. Was playing some beautiful riffs that night that I heard.
We were in Asbury Park last night. He was wailing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
And then we were dancing at 5 in the morning.
A lot of rock and roll going on in New York. It's there if you know where to find it. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Muzz, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me promote my book and my music and stuff.
Oh, no mistake.
Everybody be cool.